My name is Gregory, and I'm the board president of the Chicago Opera Theater. I would like to welcome you here. It's not a big day for the Chicago Opera Theater, but for the whole City of Chicago Arts Community. We will begin today with the official announcement from board member Henry Fogel, followed by General Director Brian Dickie, and then our General Director designate Andreas Mitisek. There will be brief question and answers after the remarks. At this time, I would like to introduce Henry Fogel.
Thank you, Greg, and I also want to thank all of you for coming. It's a wonderful turnout as we introduce you all to Chicago Opera Theater's new General Director. I'm very happy to announce that Andreas Mitisek will become General Director on the 1st of September 2012. He signed a 5-year contract with the Chicago Opera Theater. On January 1st, not that far away, he will become General Director Designate, where he will begin work on planning the future seasons of the Chicago Opera Theater. Andreas will also remain as Artistic and General Director of the Long Beach Opera, and together we hope to create a new model for artistic collaboration between two companies with modest budgets and very similar creative sensibilities. And Andreas will speak more about this in his remarks. But I want to take a moment now to recognize the truly extraordinary achievements of Brian Dickie in the last 13 years as our General Director. We'll talk about his moving COT from the Athenaeum to Harris Theater in Millennium Park in 2004. One can talk about 22 Chicago premieres. I'm not going to list them all, but Nixon in China, Death in Venice, the American premiere of Death in the Towers this past spring. 2 more Chicago premieres this season, Moscow Chernyushky of Shostakovich and Tizeo of Handel. He's been the Chicagoan of the Year, named by the Chicago Tribune in 2000 and again in 2002. Named on the list of the top 50 players in Chicago twice by New City Chicago. He received the annual cultural award from this very club, the University Club, last year. But I think what I most admire is I want to say remarkable and I think unique in the true sense of that word. And if you use unique correctly, you can't modify it. You can't be very unique. The unique ability that Brian has demonstrated year after year after year to identify young talent, young vocal talent, young conducting talent, bring it to Chicago at a very early stage of their careers, and create a company with a performance level of astonishing quality. Brian, I speak on behalf of the board, the staff of COT, and the City of Chicago's arts community, and saying thank you for all that you have done for the Chicago Opera Theater and for Chicago.
Thank you, Henry, for those very kind words. It really has been an extraordinary privilege to be here in Chicago for these last 12.5 years or so. 13 it will be by the time I finally depart next year. And it's so good to see so many friends here today, and I'd like to thank you all for your kindness and support of me and of the company over these last years. I'm looking forward very much to my final season here in Chicago. I don't misunderstand that. I'm not looking forward to it, but it's my last, but I'm looking forward to it. It is, alas, my last. But, well, I'm not going to cry. It's really a great treat for me to be here today to introduce my successor as COT General Director Andreas Mitisek. He's done some really extraordinarily interesting work at Long Beach Opera, and in a very extraordinary way, it mirrors so much of what COT is about. So that's very auspicious, I think. I've commented a number of times in recent days about how amazing it is that these two companies have done so much of the same repertoire. Moscow Sherigomushki, which I really heard about when it was down in the Wiener Kammer some years ago, Austria. But I mean, they did it there just last year in Long Beach. I had no idea they were doing it. I didn't knew that we were doing it either. Achnachen was done here and in Long Beach. Nixon in China, good soldier Schweig, so much. So I'm really absolutely thrilled that we have somebody coming to take over from me who shares so much of what COT is. I really do believe that Andreas can take Chicago Opera Theatre forward, especially in these most difficult times for the arts and opera company. You know, I always consider myself to be rather good at creative minimalism. He's going to have to be even better. Anyway, it's with very great pleasure that I introduce you to Andreas.
It's a great honor to be here. Here are my notes. So if I forget something, bear with me. But I think it's a great honor to be here and being considered following Brian. I haven't asked for his shoe size, but they are pretty big shoes to fill. And you know, if it wasn't for Alan Stone and Brian, who really made this company to what it is today, together with the board and all its supporters, and many of you are here, I think none of us would be here. And I'm very grateful for that I can take this company from where it is after Brian's wonderful, amazing work he did with this company, hopefully to another level in the sense of that I will add my Austrian accent where Brian added his British accent. So some change in there, but not too much. And I think both of us coming from Europe, we share a lot of artistic sensibilities, which Brian said already in his remarks about also the repertoire we both presented. My philosophy is also taking opera to a different level in the sense as Brian did, and I like to see the word opera as an acronym for out-of-the-box thinking, for provocative performances, for engaging experiences, for relevant stories and music that we tell with it, and for an adventurous journey that makes us think about many things in our life. You know, if we're really good at that, we get finally opera and the arts off the entertainment page and get it into the front page and lifestyle page, in the sense of, because we all realize that the arts are so much part of what we are, beyond, you know, the business pages, sports pages, but I just think we make a difference in this world. Maybe that's a high claim, but I think you wouldn't be here if we wouldn't all believe in that. So what will I do here? Right. I think I have mentioned before that in repertoire, you know, I think Chicago has a wonderful, wonderful mission, and it mirrors very much what I've been doing at Long Beach Opera, you know, presenting new, rare works that range from 1600 to 2012 and maybe 13, 14. I think everything should be represented that has a relevant story, that has some meaning to us, and has engaging and fabulous music with it. If it's just as either, then I think it doesn't really work for me as an artist or a producer. So I look forward to, you know, bringing pieces ranging from Rameau and even earlier to John Adams and Philip Glass and many other composers that are out there that you're already familiar with. Brian and I, we both have learned to make a lot happening with nothing, you know. We'd say it was filet mignon out of, was it like burger meat or something? So I think we need your support and we need the money to make things happening but we also know it doesn't just take money. It takes a lot of imagination, it takes a lot of engagement, and it takes a lot of will on every side, you know, to make COT thrive and grow. And I want you to think grow when I say that. And no pun intended, I'm going to say 5, 5, 5.
At least you didn't say 9, 9.
That would take it too far. But you know, if we think 5 years from now, I think this company should be an opera company that produces 5 operas on a $5 million budget. And that might sound like a dream, but visionaries need to have dreams, and we all need to have these dreams to get there. So I challenge you and I invite you, you know, to go on this journey together. And by 2017, we come back here to this room, and we have a great party. And we're going to talk about all the wonderful things we've done along the way, and we set new goals and, you know, new horizons that we need to discover. What did I leave out?
That's everything I think.
Well, were you going to talk a little bit about the collaboration?
Minor
The two
detail,
companies?
right? So, yes, Long Beach Opera and Chicago Opera Theater. Both boards have been very careful, I think, in looking at that option of an artistic synergy that we can create with those two companies. Which I think as you think about, I hope you will agree that there's great opportunities in sharing some of the productions that we do, but also, you know, saving some of the costs, but increasing some of the artistic standards that we maybe couldn't be doing by ourselves. You know, as one example, we might find directors or designers who are intrigued by the idea of having their work seen in 2 different cities. There also might be some, I think some national foundations who would like to see bigger corporations on a bigger level. And I think in general, this is also a model where 2 modest, you know, budgeted companies can create something that you can say 1 + 1 is 3. So Chicago right now does 3 operas, Long Beach Opera is at 4 operas, and if I think about Anthony at the Lyric, he has to do 8 operas. So actually my job is much easier, right? But my budget is smaller, I know. I like to acknowledge the COT staff, which I've got to know over these last couple of months, and I have to say, you know, we have an amazing and dedicated staff here that does everything and anything that is needed to make the show happen on every level. And you know, I look really forward to work with COT. Also look forward to work with Brian, you know, during the transition. As I said again, I admire really what Brian has done for COT. I mean, it's unimaginable that someone else would have taken it that far. And I'm ready to start working. Thank you.
Okay, we will be happy to field questions. Sure.
Mundane question about scheduling. As Brian knows, in the past, COT has had to, I won't say take a back seat, certainly because it's prime tenant in the Harris Theater, but sometimes working around the needs and objectives of the other resident companies of the theater has involved a little bit of tricky footwork. Do you, first of all, anticipate such problems? I know Michael Tickness is here, and you probably are deep in discussions, but how will you work out your needs vis-a-vis the Harris Theater's needs program?
I think that's a fabulous question, and it all comes down to long-range planning. You know, and I also see the synergy that I'm talking about with Long Beach Opera is that we have to do just better and further out planning. You know, and I've met with Michael, and I look forward to work with him And you know, I think if we get our people together in one room and talk schedule for 2013, 14, and 15, I think then we can work it all out. I also see, you know, I want to make that point that I think the Harris Theater is a wonderful place and is the home for COT. And you all know that I have done lots of things in unusual spaces. And I also like to say, I think we will do some of that here as we grow and expand. And I think we should explore every possible, you know, space that makes sense for an opera experience. But we're going to be at the Harris, and I look forward to working with Michael and making a long-range plan. I think is the quick and short answer.
Yeah, and I would add, by the way, that the Harris has been very cooperative with the schedule issue. I think if we can get the planning ahead of time, I don't foresee problems with that. Yeah.
Thanks. Andreas, on the one hand, you're coming to a much bigger city, although region south of Los Angeles is enormous, of course. On the other hand, as you can see already just from these questions, you're also coming to something of a fishbowl, because you're answering one question, persons in the room. My question, and then Henry has a comment on it, which is a very good one. My question actually does relate to both of you, and that is, what about the future of the Young Artist Program? Currently, it seems to work very well with the College of Performing Arts that Henry is dean of, but that's not why I'm asking you the question. I didn't know who the conferencier was going to be. So.
Well, we haven't talked about it yet, but it's something I certainly hope will continue, and I'll let you answer.
Well, of course, you know, I think there's a wonderful pool of talent here in Chicago, and of course, certainly working with the current Young Artists Program and continuing that is one of my big desires, and actually also engaging these young artists maybe more in you know, different ways that I like to discuss with Henry. You know, one word also that I like to mention is collaborations. That I think it is also my goal to talk to other arts organizations here and find a bigger way of collaborating within the community. And you know, we have done that very successful also in Long Beach. Long Beach itself is just a hub for Long Beach Opera for the ones who are not familiar with the area, because Los Angeles itself, you know, is more an area than a city, I like to say. But our audience comes from all over, and partnering with museums, with movie theaters, and other arts organizations has helped us share audiences, increase our visibility, and, you know, make it a better city for all people who live there.
I would imagine, just to wrap that part up, since so many organizations now maybe are finally realizing that as well here, but I would assume that, I shouldn't say assume, I would hope that also the Ryan Center, obviously you know the people at Lyric already, but I assume that's going to continue.
Yeah, of course the Ryan Center has been, you know, had artists that have performed with COT, and, you know, I think it's one of the first places to go and look and nurture arts outside of the program and provide them, if they're ready and engaging, with an opportunity to perform.
Thank you.
I've got one more question about the synergy between the two companies. Are the stages essentially similar in Long Beach and the Harris in terms of putting production in one place and then taking it?
Are the stages similar? I think not necessarily, but I give you one example. We did a production of The Ring of the Nibelung in 2005, and that was
so unambitious.
You have to start somewhere. I might add it was a reduced version that was actually done by a Birmingham opera company, and so it instead of 18 hours, I think it was only 11 hours, but still kind of full-blown operas in some way. And we collaborated with Pittsburgh Opera Company. Now, they had a proscenium stage and we had a thrust stage. So as long as you know what you're getting into with each other, you know, you just have to choose the badge you're going to use for it. Oh, I might not use that terminology, but
Since this collaboration is relatively novel, I'm wondering if the experience of Paul Kellogg at New York City Opera has any lessons for you.
well, my lessons are, you know, learn whatever you see and do it better. But I think there were a lot of good things also that happened in that time. Certainly, I said it off records. I learned my lesson from Placido Domingo in the sense of, you know, don't try to run two opera companies and travel the world and conduct and sing. And I mean, I have a high admiration for what Placido does. I just don't know how he does it, you know. So I think it is focusing the energy on the things that I'm really valuable for both companies, and you know, that's providing the support system, and I think that's what we will be doing.
I would also point out this is two companies of a much closer size than Glimmerglass and the New York City Opera, which are vastly different companies.
It's a closer size. It's also a closer, I think, even a closer philosophy that we share. You know, I mean, New York City Opera at that point was a big company with a huge budget. You know, and Glimmerglass still was small. So we are more in the same.
Placido is giving up one of the companies.
He did give up Washington. Yeah.
Steve?
Have you given much thought to new media and how it might work here? And you spoke earlier about radio. Have you had a chance in Los Angeles to work with KUSC, the classical station there?
Yeah, we have worked with KUSC in Los Angeles and had even one of our productions on air, and we spoke briefly about that. I think, you know, that's a very interesting perspective, and I hear it all comes down to money at some point, and so. That's one of the first things I think we also like to focus here is, you know, raising the funds and making sure we can get on a sound footing so we can all just exhale and focus on the art and you know, move forward. But new media, yes, it's a changing world. I don't think that we necessarily need to change in the way that we you know, that we need to adjust our operas or creativity in our operas, but the way we find the audiences, I think, yes, we need to adjust to that. And I know that COT and Colleen has been really great in starting already initiatives for, you know, social media, and I'm glad to know that we have some more funds that are dedicated this season, if I may say that in some way, to, you know,
Yeah, we're
pretty close.
We're anticipating every reason to a very special grant for additional money to be spent solely on new marketing initiatives.
Because, you know, and sorry, just stop me when I bore you, but I just want to point out that the first thing is we need to have fantastic opera, and you have that. The next thing is you need to have the money to get the word out so people know about it. And then you build your family of friends, because people will love when they come and see what you do, and that will give you the funds to do more. So that kind of circle, I think we need to focus on.
I guess I have a question about new audiences, but as they pertain to education. So I've given up on fighting with editors for Space for Arts, and I decided to focus on the easier task of trying to do art and culture programming in the public schools for small children. What I'm wondering is how you will engage new audiences. You know, I'm sure LA is the same. We've lost a bunch of our art programming, but I find we're doing Magic Flute at one of my schools now. The kids love it. How can COT in particular fit into what seems to be a movement in Chicago, citizen music, et cetera, to try and really reach into unusual places, and particularly to our public schools, which have nothing.
I think COT is already doing a great program with Linden, you know, where children actually create operas based on themes that are part of, I think this year it's Teseo, right?
Yes.
Yes. So,
But I'm thinking more in terms of getting them into the actual opera, seeing performance, meeting performers, creating is great, I love that.
Yeah, we have them going to see performances.
At very young ages.
COT, and yeah, we work with 4th through 6th graders.
I would like you to work in kindergarten through third.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking it has to start really, really early, and I think a lot of the programs do focus older. Is there a sense that it needs to start earlier, or is that too ambitious?
I think, you know, and to keep in mind, I think we can do anything. We just can't do everything. So I think starting with the things that we right now can do and expanding on this, and I think it's a wonderful idea, you know, and I'm sure Lincoln is eager to work in that direction as soon as we also find the capacity for that. A lot of it is not probably that COT didn't want to do it yet, but it's just being ready to also commit to it and then being able to execute it professionally.
Do you have a hand up?
My question is basically.
Your question's been answered. Okay. Okay, we'll take this one and then, and you. Okay, we'll take these two and then let you eat lunch. Remember, each question is standing between everybody and lunch.
In traveling to other cities, we've noticed in Europe, in a broader sense, more young adults in the 20s and 30s age than we've seen in Chicago auditions. What do you feel is a way that COT can strive to draw more of those young people who are the audience musicians?
I think, you know, opera theater, I guess you have a big theater crowd here. Also, but also if I look at pricing, sometimes it's a pricing point where you say, you know, people in their 20s and 30s, they're trying to build a career, they're starting to have children. How much money have you left to spend on you know, on opera tickets maybe? And I think it's about also thinking about initiatives we can provide in a sense that makes it affordable. Because we also know on the other hand side, there's 20-year-olds who spend $300 for a rock concert somewhere, right? So if you really want something, you will find the means to do it. So I think, you know, this is something we also need to find a way to make it more affordable. May it be, again, with maybe grants that support a certain amount of tickets that then can be, you know, offered to reduce pricing to a certain age group, but also maybe with introductional offers for season subscriptions. Because I think it's important for people who don't really know COT to experience it more than in one performance. And I'd rather give you a discount for a whole season before the season starts than a last minute discount on a single ticket.
Well, just maybe following up on that, I think you managed to do that really in Long Beach, haven't you? So when I think of Long Beach culturally, I think of like, it's the home of Snoop Dogg, the rapper, and the Lupita Rivera family, and you know, things that you wouldn't associate with alcohol innovation. I mean, what one particular thing you think you can bring from Long Beach and translate here to COT? But actually, my original question was, you also talked about expanding the season throughout the year. Is that still right now?
Yeah, I think two things. So Snoop Dogg hasn't been to an opera yet in Long Beach.
I'm shocked.
I'm shocked too. This is a great idea. I have to follow up on that. As I said before, you know, the area of audiences for Long Beach is really Los Angeles, Orange County, Pasadena. Long Beach itself, which is the hub, has about a fourth of our audience. So it is, you know, a bigger region. And yes, we have doubled our audience between 2008 and 2011. We had an increase of over 500% in subscription sales during that time. And I remind you, this is talking about the big recession impact. What did I lose my track?
What's one thing you'll bring from Long Beach?
What one thing do you think of from Long Beach that you might bring?
Oh, well, sunshine. Well, one thing I think, you know, one thing is really reaching out new audiences, which I want to work on, of course, with Colleen is one of the first things. And as I mentioned before, you know, creating a subscription offer that is irresistible. I think it's building on the brand that COT has right now and making people buy the brand and not an opera. Because I think, you know, we always have the struggling opera companies. There's people who love Baroque opera, there's people who love Philip Glass, and then when they see it combined, they say, no, I'm going to go to this one, but I don't like this one. I think what COT has been already doing, and I think what we can, you know, just push further is making the brand what you buy. You want to buy an experience that you treasure, you know, and sometimes it's an opera by Handel, and sometimes it's an opera by John Adams. But it is within that experience that we also actually widen our horizon as audiences. And I think, you know, giving credit to the adventuresome audiences is one of the things we need to do within that. So we had great success in Long Beach with offering our first-time subscribers a 50% discount, and then bringing it back with a 30% discount in the second year. And then in the third year, you know, giving them a regular discount. So this kind of switches around the offers that I see often, you know, 2 for 1 a week before, which I think signals slightly desperation. So I think it's turning these things around where we create a demand, a desire to be there because it's going to sell out. And you know, I have to say, next June, one of our opera performances is already sold out, and the other one is close to be sold out, because we just create a demand, and we create, you know, that just drives. Marketing is one of my hobbies, and I can't wait to work. Did I answer your question?
I saw that smile on Colleen's face when you said marketing is one of my hobbies. Thank you all very, very much, and you're invited to join us.